Okay. Yeah. Lady Wolf Pack on a whole nother level. Savage as they come, gang of female rebel. We got the sharpest claws, we got the whitest teeth. We coming for your lunch, but we only bring the heat.
Hey y'all, I'm Cassidy, the favorite daughter, obviously.
And I'm Kim, her mom, her match, and the real reason she turned out halfway decent.
Welcome to Mom's Favorite, the podcast where we laugh, vent, and overshare like it's our full-time job.
Yeah. And we're coming straight to you from Austin, Texas, where the queso's hot, the opinions are hotter, and we don't sugarcoat a damn thing.
You know, just think of us as Thelma and Louise, but only they're related and they have a podcast instead of a death wish.
So go ahead and pour yourself something strong, maybe a margarita, get a little snack.
Because here on Mom's Favorite, we got a lot to unpack. Well, MFers, just another day in paradise, am I right? Normally you'd hear my mom's voice right about now, probably interrupting me, but today I'm riding solo. And honestly, it feels kind of nice, peaceful, professional, almost like I'm at work, which is perfect because today I am joined by my work wife, Karen. Karen is my medical assistant, but more than that, she is my daily voice of reason, my emotional support human, and the person who keeps me from losing my license and my mind. She is a born and raised Austinite with over 20 years working in women's health, which means she's seen some things. Like, things. So if you love a little chaos with your pap smear and maybe want to hear some wild shit, then let's roll. Okay, so I know what you're thinking when you hear the name Karen, but this Karen does not want to speak to your manager, okay? She is the gem of our clinic, and if anyone tries to argue with me on this, I will fight you. One thing I love is that she always introduces herself to patients and family members by saying, "I'm a nice Karen." And honestly, that's just the most perfect introduction ever because one, she's hilarious, but more importantly, she's so nice. It's not often that you meet someone new and they instantly feel like family, but that is what Karen brings to the table for every person that comes into our clinic, even the ones who are cray-cray or bitchy. But also, don't confuse her niceness with being a pushover, because if anyone tries to pull one over on her, or take advantage of her, or is acting a fool, no ma'am, we don't play that way, right?
That is correct. It's a hell of a time to be named Karen. I'm just leaning into it, really. No, I really love people. And so I got blessed with a job that I get to love people for a living, especially our patients, but any patient, really. I love them very much. I'm from Austin, so...
Yeah, I was going to say, so she's a native Austinite. That doesn't happen too much. But if you want to, give a little background about, what side of town you grew up, what school you went to.
Yeah, so, I always say that I guess I grew up in the ghetto, but I didn't know it. I don't think a lot of people know when they grow up in certain places that they aren't the best, but I grew up in Del Valley, but it was the 90s, so it was a different Del Valley. It was like Riverside, Montopolis, and yeah, I grew up there. I loved it there, and right out of high school, I got a job to work the front desk at an OBGYN's office, and I fell in love with it, and that was in 1999. And here we are, 2005, almost 2006, and I'm still working with the ladies.
Yeah.
The giant is my life.
2026,
Yeah.
She means.
That's right. But yeah, and I still love Del Valley. I mean, I run into people I went to high school with, and I can't believe we're all still alive. So that was kind of the high school I went to. But yeah, it was a great place to grow up. Austin was very different in the 90s.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how do you think Austin has changed since, growing up to now?
Well, considering we have a lot of nice Karens in the real Austin, we just kept telling people to come and hang out with us and maybe stay at our house. And then we looked around and they never left. And so Austin is friendly and, come as you are, at least the Austin I remember. And I think Cassidy does too. She grew up here too.
Yeah.
But, other than the rent going up everywhere, hopefully that friendliness has stayed and is still very Austin. Yeah. So.
Did you say what high school you went to?
Del Valle High School.
Okay. I was like,
Fighting Cardinal.
Okay, cool. And what year did you graduate?
1998, man.
1998.
I know.
I was 11.
I know. We have patients that were born long after I graduated. So, I mean, I don't feel old.
You don't look old and you don't act old.
Yes.
So she's a sprightly little thing.
Well, I do love patients. And I got to say, especially with the line of work that we do, I mean, we do high risk OB now, but just gynecology in general, I feel like it's different than a lot of specialties because women definitely become more vulnerable with the things that happen in gynecology in particular, but also high-risk OB or any kind of OB. Yeah. So, kind of bringing that feminine power, we're here for you to the table.
Yeah. Empowering.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You're not alone. You got this. I can't believe I get paid for doing this. It's fantastic. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you were definitely made for this area.
Great.
I was going to bring up, so you have experience working in pedi and adolescent gynecology, which I think is an area of medicine that not many people know about.
Definitely.
And so I was wondering if you had any insight as to what it's like in that world, or if you have any crazy stories, which I know you do, but
yeah. Well, I've never worked in PD, and it was, and I, kind of went away from OB and started working in PD. And PD adolescent is more of our teenage girls, and I was super excited. I love children, but I got to tell you, the first week we had at least 3 sexual assaults, and they were young ladies that it had happened to them by a friend or a family member. It was way too late to report it. And then I kind of got the idea that this is what happens a lot.
Yeah.
So that was huge. That was sad. And you don't really see that in adult world. So that's one thing. And then another thing is just patients in general. When you're working with PD, you have one patient, that's your patient. And then in PD world, you have the other
parents,
patient, which is their parents.
Yeah.
And they're typically a little crazy. The female the daughter-mom relationship is always really tricky.
Mm-hmm.
So navigating that, and then also trying to keep the patient's confidentiality paramount. Right. That's also very tricky. But this subspecialty, this PAG, is so needed right now with our youth. Birth control, STD talks, just gender identification. It's definitely something that I feel is much more important than even the work we do here in high-risk OB. So.
Sure. Yeah, and I think it's important because, as we know, the public education system does not do a good job at educating girls and women about their bodies, what's normal, what's not normal. And so,
I think we get a glimpse. I got a glimpse more in PD than in regular OB into just the home lives of these young ladies. And a lot of times it is very sad. They don't have the resources. They don't have the care that I see with adults. And so that makes me really want to help them and kind of be there for them. But
Yeah. Can you think of, not to put you on the spot, but can you think of just something just super wild that you can recall?
Oh, yeah. I mean, in the PD world, everything is wild. I mean, there'll be young ladies that come in that, they lose their condoms or they can't remember if they put a Nuva ring in. And so a lot of times we'll pelvic exam them and go on a recon mission.
Fish stuff.
Yeah. And then just OB in general is kind of fun. I ran in like an indigent clinic when I first started, and we had a lot of walk-ins, homeless people. And they would use their vagina as a pocket.
Yes. That's a thing.
It's a total...
Ladies, it's not a purse.
I mean, it is a very secure place to keep your bank statements, I suppose, but...
And your drugs.
Yes. Yes. I worked at labor and delivery for a long time at the night shift, and we would get the drug addicts that would come in, and they would get really scared that we would take their drugs, and so they would hide them in their vagina purse, thinking that we wouldn't get them or find them. So that was fun. But yeah, anything really OB or GYN related gets really, really crazy.
Yeah. I hear you on that one.
I know you do.
So, given that this podcast is Mom's favorite, do you want to touch on a little bit on your relationship with your mom? I know y'all are close.
Yes, she's the best. She, I think she's a product of the 70s. Good old Val. Hopefully there's some friends of mine listening and they can both totally agree. She's hilarious. She conceived me on acid. She is very fond of telling people that. I was her firstborn, and I live no less than 10 minutes away from her my entire life. I'm probably going to see her tonight. I think it's very important that we have strong relationships with our moms, especially after seeing PD adolescent and kind of going through women's health. That bond only gets more important as we get older. But she's crazy. She's wild. I could only hope and pray to be as wild as I am, like her in her 70s, even though she looks like she's in her 50s. But
that's where you get it from, I guess.
Probably. And all the water. Drink water. Hydrate her.
That's always the answer. Just drink more water.
Yes.
And then did you want to talk about your family just briefly? Like, do you have kids?
Yes, I have a beautiful, wonderful son. He is almost 17.
My goodness.
He's great. And then me and Cassidy have this in common. We have boys. So I have a lovely husband, and he came to the table with 2 more boys. So I have another 17-year-old and a almost 14-year-old. So I always say that my house has a lot of smells in it.
Yes. We're surrounded by penises.
Yes. It's our lot in life. You think it wouldn't be. We know everything about vagina.
I know.
And the Lord was like, nope, here's a penis. Figure it out.
Here's some smelly boys.
Yes.
Here
They're great, though. They're fantastic.
Yeah. So I just wanted to talk about Karen a little bit about why she's so loved.
Lord.
So she, obviously, if you haven't noticed, is a people person and is best friend to everybody. She's a hugger. She'll meet people for the very first time and immediately gives them a hug. She's very giving, will buy patients and their kids gifts. She's even let a patient stay with her overnight because they didn't have anywhere to stay. just very selfless. And I call her my work wife.
Sure.
And I'm very lucky to have her as my work wife. So the very first day of my job, she gave me flowers and hung up a banner that said, "Welcome to the team." And I was like, this is the first time I'm ever meeting this lady. So I'm just super lucky considering I spend almost more time here than I do with my own family. I can't imagine coming to work, 5 days a week to a miserable place with a difficult coworker. And I have friends that are nurse practitioners, and they have horror stories about having awful MAs and that just make their job miserable. So
Yeah.
I so appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate you too. You're really easy. I always tell people that, she's the kind of person, it's very rare that you can sit in a room for hours,
Yes.
know that you like each other, but not have to talk.
Yes.
It's wonderful for people that have to talk for a living to really be given a pass to just, you good? I'm good. Cool. And then we just do our work together, and it's fantastic. So.
I agree.
And hugging is good too. If you hug more than 20 seconds, you release oxytocin,
Yeah.
which is the same thing you release when you're breastfeeding. 20 seconds is a long time, though. You might seem a little creepster if you try to hug somebody for 20 seconds, but just try it out, and see how it goes.
Yes. Well, not only is she just a wonderful person, but she is very much on top of shit, which I appreciate. She is very good at anticipating what I could want or need, and she knows how to do everything. So if I'm ever, not sure, she knows, of course. And one thing I love is that, so I hate calling people on the phone, and she is nice enough to do the calling for me, and she loves calling because she loves talking to people. So
yeah, you podcasters may not know this because your host is so talkative, but she is actually very shy. And I realized pretty soon on that my strength is talking to people. I love to make phone calls. I love to make difficult situations less difficult. And so I realized really early on that I would take over that for my sweet little Cassidy.
I love that because I feel like I struggle making difficult situations less difficult because I kind of freeze in the moment, and I'm like, what can I say? So
it's a good thing she's so pretty.
And you're shut up. Shut up. But yeah, and she is just very eager to learn about things. So there's always lots of things to learn in our job, and I appreciate that she's like, tell me about this thing, teach me. So that's great.
Hopefully they'll put on my headstone, she was super helpful. Because that's all I care. As long as I was I don't care about credit. I just want to be helpful and make things easier.
You are so helpful. And that's funny because one time, sorry if you hear doors slamming. One time she was staying after work to help a patient with their kid.
Yeah.
And to watch them basically, and I said, don't be a hero, Karen. And so now that's our little saying, don't be a hero.
Yes. He was lovely. He was autistic, and no one told me, and I hung out with him for about an hour, and he jumped into every fountain we found. I believe he pooped his pants.
Yeah.
But we became really good friends after that, and I am now Aunt Karen, and I hopefully will get to see him again someday. But yeah, that was definitely a hero moment, biting off more than I could chew.
Yes.
But love is kind and love gives. Love doesn't need a gain. Right. So if you give, you just give. Yeah. That's what you do.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Well, that being said, this kid did have a grandparent with him. So he wasn't left alone with Karen. That would make more sense. But yeah, anyways, speaking of heroes, do you want to talk about the opportunity you had to be a hero on Superhero Day?
It was the coolest thing ever. So I am deathly afraid of heights. I have been for all of my 45 years. And there was an opportunity that we could, as associates, rappel off the building. And I said, in my mind, I said, you know, what better way to get over something than do it in front of hundreds of people? So I volunteered to rappel off the building as a superhero. I met up with all of these wonderful SWAT guys. Some of them have even retired at this point, but they do this once a year for the children. And
Yeah, it's like an annual thing they do.
it was so special. And they taught me how to do it. It was one of the best experiences of my life, maybe even more than having a child. I felt a million miles tall. I got over my fear and I became a superhero for the day. Although, let's be honest, those kids are the real superheroes.
Yes.
They were so happy to see Batman.
Yeah, so the SWAT guys will all dress up as different superheroes, and they have like legit costumes. And they used to rent their costumes, but somebody donated. Yeah, somebody donated a bunch of money and they purchased like all these really nice costumes, and they had everybody from like villains, superheroes. There's like a Batmobile. There was a helicopter with Spider-Man in it.
Yeah, it was intense, and they were rappelling from the helicopter. There was definitely a moment during probably that week and then the weeks after where I had major imposter syndrome, where I was like, I don't belong here. Everyone else is cooler than me. What am I doing here? But yeah, it was pretty incredible. I am always an advocate of come from a place of yes. If you get asked to do something, if you are asked to participate in something, just say yes. You never know where it's going to take you.
Yeah.
It might take you to the roof, surrounded by some hot SWAT guys. So,
amen, sis.
Girl. Shout out to the SWAT guys. Yeah. I miss you.
Let's do this again sometime. And then you are very into fitness and health. And I just wondered if you wanted to just touch on why that's important to you.
Yeah. So, I've always been really like a runner and into yoga, and not so much because of how I look, but more of how I feel. I was very depressed as a child. I had manic depression, little bipolar thrown in there for fun. And I realized that when I would go for long runs, and Bikram yoga does the same thing, I would be in a better mood. Imagine that, tapping into my own endorphins. So I just kind of kept that going. And yeah, I love to run. I love to yoga. I love to do anything that exercises our heart muscle.
Yeah.
It doesn't get a lot of exercise other than, cardio. So, but I will tell you, and nobody's going to care about this, but, I get dismissed as a skinny girl. Like, she doesn't have to worry. She's skinny. She watches what she eats. But I have just as much anxiety as anyone else on the planet with how I look and things, especially now that I'm getting older. What I eat, so the anxiety's still there for skinny girls. So
yeah, and even skinny people can have high cholesterol and high blood pressure. Sometimes the skinny ones have like the worst of it, and you're like,
well, there was a time, and in my early 20s, that I definitely had some kind of eating disorder. It wasn't throwing up, but it was more of a food restriction thing. We see that nowadays with the young folks, but where I would eat one Subway sandwich a day, thinking that was a good idea. Where now I know a lot more about my health, and we have to feed the beast, right? We just have to feed it the correct things. We are what we eat. Let food be thy medicine, and thy medicine be thy food. So there are certain things you can eat. Amen. It's in I think it's in the oath that they take as a doctor, that long oath. But
the Hippocratic oath.
The hypocritical oath. No, just kidding, doctor.
JK, we love you. Karen always goes for walks during her lunch break, and I'm always like, okay, well, when it cools down, I'll do that too. Except we can't leave at the same time, so That's kind of annoying.
Oh, yeah. Nice excuse there, darling.
I know. Hey, it's not me. I want to. We can't leave at the same time.
I'm going to get her on a walk, y'all. Y'all just watch.
Yes, because it feels like every time I decide to leave for my lunch break, the minute I get to where I'm going, some patient calls or something happens.
Always on call here.
So yeah, I just stop trying unless I really, really want to. Awesome. Was there anything else that you...
No, just everyone be kind to each other.
Yeah.
We're living in this crazy world, and we forget about the human connection.
Yeah.
The devil's the great divider. So don't let division keep you from being nice to your neighbor, nice to your friend, and more importantly, nice to your enemy.
Yeah.
Because that's the hard part.
Yeah.
It's easy to be nice to the angel patients. It's hard to be nice to the assholes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But each one of them deserve care, just like your mom, your sister, your dad, your brother would. So
usually the assholes, there's something deeper going on there. And so, showing kindness and showing grace will be a little bit of a key to help, unlock them and get to the root of what's really going on. No one's just an asshole for fun.
Purpose,
Yeah.
Right. It's a true story.
Yeah.
True story, man.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
I was so nervous. I'd like to do this again, though, and maybe get some more topics.
Yes.
This is a lot of fun.
It's very fun. We've been trying to do this for a little bit, so I'm glad we finally got to.
Yeah.
And we're recording from our office, which is really the perfect podcast recording.
Yeah.
Because it's like a small-ish enclosed space. But yeah. It's been a pleasure, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Yes. Adios, y'all.
Okay, MFers, I just want to give a big thanks to my work wife, Karen, the real MVP of our clinic, and one of the few people I can tolerate being around for 8 hours a day. She is the yin to my work yang, the ultimate hype girl, and can easily be bribed with Cool Ranch Doritos. Don't forget to follow Mom's Favorite wherever you listen. And if you liked this episode, leave a review that says, Karen for President. Catch you next week, MFers. Oh, and people, stop avoiding that pap smear I know you're due for.